Hey, it's Tansel. And in the last video, we talked about failure-based training and how you can learn from your mistakes when you're doing your memory training, because it's important that once you understand your mistakes that you can get better with your memory. In this video, I want to talk about what I call success training, which is the opposite of the failure-based training. And what I do in this case is I actually rename it to 100% success-based training. So let's take a look at it. Now, how this works is that instead of memorizing things, say, really fast and making lots of mistakes because you don't have the time to make the best associations and best images, the scenario here is that you take as long as you can, as slow as you can, to memorize something at 100%. So let's take an example of, let's say you have 100 words, right? If you're trying to memorize 100 words, usually competitors will, go really quickly and, do 2 words at a time, 3 words at a time, maybe do a whole line of stories and so on. But and obviously while doing that, do that in the quickest time possible. And you're always trying to beat your time. In this case, what you can do is go really slow, but focus on the stories that you're developing. Focus on the connection, right? If you've got a word like elevator and then mouse, imagine the elevator maybe dropping on the mouse, and the mouse tail just gets caught a little bit and he can't move, and it's trying to get out of there, right? May sound barbaric and morbid, but this is just the first thing that came into my head. All right, so I want you to create those stories. Now, the benefit of the 100% training is that it's really hard, really difficult to always get 100%. If you're doing a short amount of things, like maybe 20 words, yeah, it's easy. But if you're doing 100 things or more, what's going to happen is you might miss 1 or 2 things, or you might miss a few. And what happens there is then you can analyze that and say, okay, I tried my best and I'm still missing. What is the problem here? So it's very similar to the failure-based training where you're analyzing mistakes. Here, you're trying to understand that you're doing everything you can in your ability, yet why is it not working? If it is working for you and you're always getting 100%, you have to up your game, right? You have to go from 100 to 200, right? Make it always more challenging so that it's not that you're not always going to get 100%. You're aiming for perfection, right? And if you're not getting perfection, you're analyzing the mistakes, right? Because there should be a point where you know how to make the connections and stories, and you know that if you memorize 1 or 2 things perfectly, that 10 things, 20 things, 100 things will be perfect, right? That's how I memorized the phone book, right? I didn't have a practice run of doing, 20,000 digits. I just knew that if I can put a string of sentences and phrases together that it's going to stick, that I'll memorize those numbers. So there's my topic on success training. You can try it out with words. You can also try it out with numbers as well. If you know the major system, it's a really good way of practicing, because now you don't have to just focus on, images coming with words straight away. With numbers, you're going to have to worry about, well, what image am I going to create for, say, 97? Is it going to be a book? Is it going to be a bike? Is it going to be a pike? Is it going to be a pick? Do you see what I mean? So unless you pre-memorized your images from, say, 00 to 99, or even your 1000, right? Numbers become a bit more of a challenge. So it's a great exercise to use 100% success training. Now, the reason why I bring up this particular training is that I've got a client that I'm working with at the moment, and we've already done sort of failure-based training, but now we're looking at 100%, because the goal there is to make sure that he gets his card images correct, right? The goal isn't to get a result for the quickest time possible. The goal is to make sure that the card images that he has memorized, that he's getting it perfect, right? And that's a difference, right? So what that does with the training is that make sure that your connections are effective, right? And if your connections are effective, then the recall is obviously effective, right? And that's the whole reason why we're trying to train our memory, so we can have better recall. And in this case, we're not worried about the speed of recall. We're worried about the effectiveness of the recall. If you want to get faster, watch my failure-based training video. Also, I've got a ton of other videos on memory training, but for now, I'll be creating more and more videos on training using sort of memory strategies and techniques and so on, so you can build up not just the speed or effectiveness, but we're going to look at building concentration and focus and mental stamina, right? I'll go through some examples where you probably have to sit down for more than 20-30 minutes to try and memorize. That is a very tough challenge. Usually in competitions we memorize 5 to 10 minutes max, right? In the Australian ones back in my day. But if you memorize more than that, it does take a different strategy, different approach. So we're going to look at videos on approach and strategy. But for now, with these techniques, with this strategy, what I suggest you do is grab yourself whatever you can do, double that. So if you can do 100 words, do 200 words, and then make sure that it doesn't matter about the timing, however long it takes, make sure you go for 100%. Right? And then when you're going for 100%, obviously you're focusing on the connection, you're focusing on the storyline, all that sort of stuff, right? And at the end, when you test your recall, if you get 100%, that's great. Up the level. If you don't get 100%, look at why that wasn't working. And again, we'll look at analysis in another video because that's a whole topic onto itself. But for now, work on those things because that's going to be crucial also in everyday life as well. If you're studying, and you're practicing 100% training, what that's doing is it's making sure that you're understanding a topic really, really well. And then when you go to recall or when you're in an exam, bang, it's going to come to you a lot better because you've studied it in an effective way, right? So a lot of these memory training exercises that I'm going through, they have greater benefits, obviously. So that's the reason why I'm going through it. If you have any other suggestions for videos, please comment down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.